pellet grills are great for beginners getting into barbecue because of course they're super easy to use. You season the meat, you push a button, you put the meat on the grill, and you're good to go. But at the same time, they're great for more experienced pitmasters if you're trying out a new technique, trying a new recipe, or just to use in a pinch if you don't have time to manage a fire. Before I got my 250, my Pecos offset, or even my Weber kettle, I was using a pellet grill for almost an entire summer. And because of that, I was able to try out multiple brisket trimming techniques from various pitmasters to see how their methods turned out on my briskets. It was great because I didn't have to worry about temperature swings, pull speeds, or wood moisture content levels. And that helped me learn so much about brisket and just barbecue in general. So clearly I think pellet grills are awesome, but they get a lot of flack in the barbecue community. And I often hear pellet grill deniers saying things like, pellet grills aren't smokers, they can't make real barbecue, and if you can't manage your own fire, you don't deserve to be outside smoking with the rest of us, real pitmasters. Interesting opinion, but wrong. Look, I don't get the whole you have to manage your own fire to make it barbecue argument, and quite frankly, I don't care. Regardless if some people consider using a pellet grill as real barbecue or not, doesn't change from the fact that if you know what you're doing with a pellet grill, you can make some incredible barbecue. And the fact that pellet grills are easy to use is a massive plus in my eyes, not a negative, because not everyone wants to burn their forearms managing a massive fire like I do. And those people can still make really good barbecue in their very own backyards. Now, your barbecue will not turn out exactly the same way as if you cooked it on an offset, because of course a pellet grill and an offset smoker cook completely differently. So if you try to cook on a pellet grill as if it's an offset, you're gonna end up with no bark on your barbecue, and on top of that, little to no smoke flavor. And that is the #1 complaint I hear about pellet grills, is that they do not produce a good smoke flavor on the barbecue. But I think that this flavor problem can absolutely be fixed. But first, we need an understanding of the fuel that's used in a pellet grill versus an offset. So the only fuel source for a pellet grill, just like an offset, is wood. However, the wood that's used is in pellet form instead of wood splits. And these pellets have a moisture content level of about 5 to 10%. In comparison, wood splits are considered seasoned and ready to use once they reach a moisture content level of 10 to 20%. Now, this is not a science channel. I'm not gonna give you the entire breakdown with all the factors on how wood combusts. I just don't have the knowledge to do that. But what I do know for a fact is that the higher moisture content the wood has, the more smoke it will produce. So because wood pellets have half the moisture content of wood splits, it makes sense that wood pellets produce less smoke, resulting in less smoke flavor. Another thing to note is that from my experience of using both an offset and a pellet grill, it takes about twice as much wood in terms of weight to cook a brisket in an offset versus a pellet grill. So when it's all said and done, it takes about 10 pounds of pellets to cook a brisket in a pellet grill and about 20 pounds of wood splits to cook a brisket in an offset, roughly speaking. So because an offset uses more fuel, thus more smoke, it makes sense that an offset would have more smoke flavor compared to a pellet grill. Granted, that is if they're cooked for the same amount of time and are exposed to the smoke for the same amount of time. But I'm not sure if this is a super valid point because again, it's just from my experience, so take that with a grain of salt. Thankfully, there are a few ways to fix this smoke flavor problem with the pellet grill. And to demonstrate this, I will be smoking this rack of ribs on my new Camp Chef Woodwind. Trying out this Zavala's rub that I got. Thank you, Ed, for sending this to me. Tubs up. Beautiful. So this is not a sponsored video, but Camp Chef did send me this smoker to try out. And I have been in the market for a pellet smoker for a pretty long time now, so I was super stoked when Camp Chef reached out and said they wanted to send me one because Camp Chef was at the top of my list. And that's because the Camp Chef Woodwind has some of the most important features for a pellet smoker in my opinion. Like a second cooking rack, Wi-Fi, a super easy and convenient ash cleanout system, a lever to clear out the pellets in the hopper, and a huge plus is the Sidekick propane burner, which attaches to the side of the grill. And you can add a bunch of accessories to the Sidekick like a pizza oven, a grill box, and also a flat top. And the Camp Chef Woodwind has another feature that should help with our smoke flavor problem, which is the smoke control. And with the smoke control, you can set the smoke flavor level from 1 to 10. From my understanding, this setting allows the pellets inside of the burn pot to basically smolder instead of burn cleanly. So the higher the smoke level you set it to, the dirtier the fire pot will burn, giving you more smoke and thus more smoke flavor. Now, because this is my first time using this smoker or any of the Camp Chef smokers that have this feature, then I'm gonna set the level to 10 because I wanna try it out and see how smoky I can get these ribs. Hey, future Ant here. So basically at about the 2-hour mark, there was just so much smoke coming out of the smoker that I was afraid that the ribs were gonna get over smoked, so I ended up setting the smoke level down to 5. So if you are in the market for a smoker, I will have a link where you can check out the Woodwind and all of Camp Chef's pellet smoker lineup in the description box. But even if you don't have a Woodwind, or if your smoker doesn't have a smoke control, you can greatly improve the quality of smoke flavor by choosing a wood pellet that has a lot of flavor. Recently, I watched a video where Mad Scientist Barbecue, Chud's Barbecue, and Joe Yim cooked a brisket on an offset smoker using only mesquite wood. Once they tried the brisket, they all agreed that it had too much smoke flavor, which is why I'm using mesquite pellets to cook these ribs. Because like I explained before, wood pellets just don't produce as much wood smoke as wood splits do. So with mesquite pellets, I'm really hoping that the ribs will be perfectly smoky once they're done. And another thing I'm gonna be doing is cooking these ribs at a very low temperature, and this is gonna help the cook in a lot of different ways. But just focusing on the effect of the smoke flavor on the ribs, by cooking it at a lower temperature, it's gonna take longer for the ribs to be done. So they're gonna be in the smoke for a longer period of time, and therefore it should get more smoke flavor by doing it this way. So to start out this cook, I'm gonna be smoking these ribs at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for about 4 hours just to dry out the surface of the meat so that we can get a really nice crust on the end product. Then I'll hike up the temperature to 280 degrees Fahrenheit just to finish off the cook, but also to try to get some pullback on these bones. Then I'll put some sauce on them, wrap them in foil, and finish them off at about 300 degrees Fahrenheit just until they're bendable and tender, but not too fall off the bone. Then I'll let them rest for a while, and after that, they'll be ready to eat. Okay, so I think I accidentally did not record myself slicing these ribs, but as you can see, I definitely overcooked these. And the problem was I was trying to get a really nice bark on these ribs, but the fat was not rendering quick enough. So I think I should have cooked it lower for a longer period of time before I hiked up the temperature. But this is my first time cooking on the Woodwind, so I'm just learning, and I'll just chalk it up to that, the learning curve. Yeah, let's go ahead and see one of these ribs. Yeah, the color looks really good. Nice and juicy, but yeah, definitely overcooked. It's like falling apart in my hand. It smells divine too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try one of these ribs. So I thought the smoke flavor tasted good. It definitely didn't taste over smoked, but at the same time, it didn't taste under smoked, if that makes sense. So maybe next time I do ribs, I won't be a big baby and I'll just keep the smoke level at 10 instead of reducing it down to 5. But yeah, I am so excited to use this Woodwind. You guys have no idea. You guys should be on the lookout for a brisket video coming soon because that is the next thing I'm gonna be cooking on this Woodwind. While you're waiting for my pellet grill brisket video, you can check out the next video on your screen where I go over my entire brisket cooking process.